There was a proposal in Congress that you wrote an issue brief about earlier. Well, I think it was last year, late last year. And then that has come up on the campaign trail with former President Trump suggesting that he would cut or eliminate the taxation of Social Security benefits. So, um, putting that in context, I mean, is it a big deal? What would it mean for the system? And how did it come about that Social Security benefits are taxed in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, so when Social Security was enacted back in 1935, the level of benefits that were paid relative to the taxes that workers contributed, the Treasury Department actually issued a ruling, and they decided that Social Security benefits were to be considered a gift or a gratuity, and so therefore they were not taxable income. And I mean, to put that into context, if you remember the story I think I've told before, there was a lady, Ida Mae Fuller, who was
Mm.
the first Social Security beneficiary. She worked from 1937 to 1939. She paid about $25 in payroll taxes. And she retired in 1940 and started collecting benefits. And she retired at 65. She lived to be 100. And so over her lifetime, she collected nearly $23,000 in benefits relative to the $25 that she contributed, in her 3 years, her final 3 years of employment. So, from that perspective, you can say, well, gee, she didn't pay for her benefits. That $25 in taxes didn't cover the cost of her 23,000 in benefits. And so the Treasury arguably said, look, the level of benefits to what you pay in versus what you get out, this is not really income. This is a gift from the government. It's a transfer. But over time, as of course, as workers paid in longer, they contributed more toward their benefits. And in 1983, when the Social Security system was facing a financial problem, then the Greenspan Commission proposed that we tax Social Security benefits. And essentially what they said was, look, workers, they contribute half of the payroll tax, and that's coming out of their after-tax wages. Now, the other half that the employer contributes on their behalf, that's not part of their wages, and that's not been taxed. So the idea was, well, if half the tax is the after-tax workers' wages and half the tax is the employer contribution, then that 50-50 ratio would imply that you should tax half the benefits and not tax the other half. And so in 1983, Congress voted to include up to half of your benefits so that when you retire, when you fill out your income tax, you would include up to half of your benefits as taxable income. Now, in 1993, Social Security, actually Medicare was facing some financial problems, and they decided, well, actually what we're going to do is we're going to tax not 50% of your benefits, but 85% of your benefits. And that extra 35% that we collect in revenue, instead of putting it in the Social Security Trust Fund, which is what happened in 1983, we're going to put it into the Medicare Trust Fund. And so essentially what they were doing is they're saying, we're going to tax your Social Security benefits, and the money that we collect from taxing your benefits, the 50% will go into Social Security to help fund those benefits, and the 35% will go into the Medicare HI Part A Trust Fund to help fund Medicare benefits. So essentially, they were using the revenue collected from the taxation of benefits to help fund the benefits. And so when some proposal comes forward to eliminate those taxes, then obviously that's going to reduce the money going into the trust fund. Over the next 10 years, if you were to eliminate the taxation of benefits, that would cost Social Security about $1 trillion over the next 10 years in lost revenue, and about $600 billion in lost revenue to the Medicare Trust Fund. So we're talking about $1.6 trillion in income taxes that are collected on benefits that go into the trust funds. That money would no longer be available. And as a result, the solvency date of both Social Security and Medicare would be moved forward. So it would have a significant effect on the finances of both of those programs.